morning, and welcome to Dynamic Connections, which is a part of Connect 24 Business Alliance. My name is Jeanette Travellini, and I'm the Executive Director of the Connect 24 Business Alliance. And I'm so excited to be here at SMAC, if I may call it that, instead of telling you all those long words. And today my guest is three people from the local Stoughton YMCA. Ellen Green is the Executive Director. Welcome, Ellen.
Good morning, Jeanette.
Good morning.
So good to be here.
Yes.
Thank you.
And the Director of Health and
Wellness
is Nelson. And Nelson, I don't even think I know your last name.
It's Nelson Fernandez. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Yes, I'm so glad you're here. And we have Isabel, who does programming.
Camp and programs.
Camp
Yes.
and programming, yes. And what's your last name, Isabel?
Schneider. Isabel Schneider.
Okay, well, welcome. I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank you.
And we're going to learn a little bit about the why. And the why has changed over the years. And I'm always a proponent of change, if you know me. If you're doing something 10 years ago the same way that you're doing it today, you're not changing and keeping up. But let me tell you about the why. I remember the why from when I was a kid. And the why just did a few things. So I'm going to have Ellen, our Executive Director, tell you it's come a long way.
It has over the years. It started out as a men's sort of YMCA, right? That's what Young Men's
Right.
Christian Association. That's how it originally started.
Sure.
And it started because men came home from war, or they came into the States, or they needed a place to shower. There needed to be some connection with other people. And over the years, it's changed dramatically. Some people know it as swim and gym. Right? That's one area people know, which is, of course, we do great work in terms of swimming, in terms of teaching people to be safe in the water, and aquatics, teaching aquatics. And we also do gym. Clearly, Nelson will talk a little bit about that a little bit later. But I think what the Y has developed into is a social service organization. So it's not just about health and wellness or swimming lessons or camp and programming. It's sort of supporting the whole family unit. And seniors, like not just as a family, but all of our generations together. And so we're a place for anybody to come to. What's more important about Old Colony YMCA, which has 7 branches and many social service areas, we have homes for those experiencing homelessness. We have DYS programs.
I didn't even know that.
Yes, it's a wonderful. They're all in Brockton, but it's really more about meeting the need of the community. So in the last year, which I think you are aware of, we have a food pantry at the Y.
Yes.
And so we take so much pride in that. A lot of it is from the Greater Boston Food Bank, but we have a whole program surrounding that so that people in our community can get food when they need it. And
wonderful.
Especially in today's economy, right? So I just think there's so many pieces to it, and Isabel can share a little bit about camping and how that's camping and programming and how we support the community in that way. But it's the smiles on the kids' faces that make the difference.
Of course, absolutely. We'll see some of those pictures. So, COVID hit. How did that affect your business?
Well, we were closed, right? We were closed from March to July. It affected our business substantially. We reinvented ourselves, if you will. We changed our fitness centers so that the equipment was further away. We did massive amount of cleaning. We did what most businesses did, right? They sort of said, okay, what do we do? But more importantly, we were part of Baker's team to have children in our daycare. So we had people in our building.
Governor Baker,
Okay. Thank you.
Yep.
So we had people in our building. Our staff were caring for these kids who were first responders, children of first responders. So I think
that's important. Did you hear that? They stepped up and helped the first. How do you help the first responders?
by providing daycare and childcare.
That's
and
right.
you know,
Wonderful.
I think that's all part of who we are. We are ever changing. We don't stay where we are. We move as the community needs. And then when schools were closed, that's a whole other story, right? We had to make sure that we had full-time care for those families where they could get on the internet and be in their classes. So we had a whole staff that were working on that area. So even when our fitness centers were closed, we were still open. We were still providing services.
Right.
So.
And I remember Connect 24 actually brought some candy from one of our members who owns a candy company, Melville Candy. they donated boxes and boxes of candy, and we were able to deliver them to the Y.
You were, and Melville was great, and it was fun because when I don't know if I want to call it fun, but when you're experiencing food insecurity, you need the necessities. There's no question about it. But how cool was it for them to open their bags and find some candy in it as well?
Yeah.
And we don't want to give a lot because that's not who we are.
No.
We're about health and wellness.
Sure.
But I think that it's about keeping smiles on people's faces.
Right.
And that's what the Y does.
Exactly. So I'm going to go over to you, Nelson, and
Yes.
just want to talk a little bit about what you do.
Sure.
And how rewarding is it for you to do that?
Thank you. So what we do is really, we are a community-based fitness center. So everyone that walks through that door that's one of the things, the difference between any other organization and ours is that we care about everyone. Every member, whether you're 8, 90, everyone's as important. And the experience that we give them from the moment they walk into our fitness center is so important, from the equipment, from the maintenance and the cleanliness of it and the programming of it. We have classes that range from a teen strength and conditioning to a chair yoga and we're continue to reinvent ourselves and have new programming.
Chair yoga would be good for me.
It is
I go on
fantastic.
that end.
It is challenging, and I recommend it. So it is rewarding. Coming into work every day and seeing somebody move from being in a chair sedentary for a long time. We have somebody that had an accident many years ago. His name's Juan Silva. He's an ambassador for the Y. He's a member, and he also volunteers. There's a lot of energy there. But what we've done with him this time around is we've got him off the chair. He's a right leg amputee, and he's able to stand. He's pushed himself to the limit. We are training with him, and that's the thing. It's not just the training, but it's the actual connection that we have with him. We are his extension of a family, and that's the important thing. It's like we are personal trainers, we are fitness instructors, we are camp directors, but we want to be seen as an extension of your family when you come through our doors. But it all comes down from leadership down, because everyone is involved. If somebody has some instruction or give us some feedback, we sit down and we think about that, even if it's just one person in our meeting. And we go in and we brainstorm on how we're going to make that experience better. And that happens on a daily basis, sometimes hourly. So it is rewarding. I go home and I feel, okay, I made a living, I'm taking care of my family, but my spirit as well, because I feel better that
I love that.
I went to work.
Yeah,
So thank you.
Isabel, let's hear about what you do there.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do a number of different things at the Y. The biggest job during the summer is, of course, running our summer camp. So we provide 10 weeks of day camp for children in our community, ages 4 to 14. So pretty big age range. And a lot of the families that we serve, about 2/3, are either on scholarships or vouchers. So it's really a way for a lot of kids to get that daycare that their parents need.
Let's just pause a minute on that 2/3.
Yeah.
2/3 are on scholarships, so that means that there's a lot of fundraising going on. So get an extra couple of cents in your pocket. Think of the Y. Just a little commercial.
Yeah, thank you. So we provide that care for those kids, but I really think of it it's more than just daycare. It's more than just taking care of them during the day. It's really providing a learning experience and a growth experience for a lot of the kids that are with us for all 10 weeks of the summer. It's a really great opportunity for them to learn and practice a lot of those social skills, social emotional learning that they maybe get during the school year, but maybe not as much of, and especially not as much of during COVID.
Right, yeah. So, but you're still there. That makes me happy.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, Ellen, let me just ask you. We know that you didn't close down and never open again after COVID, which is awesome. What do you see in the next 5 years at the Y?
So I think when people ask me that, I always think about, well, what is happening in our world today, right? Yeah. So we think about, and I hate the word recession because who knows what's going to happen, not happen, who cares? It's really about how do we continue to support those families. I think our goal is always to expand and engage and provide better facilities and better environments. So we just talked about camp. So camp is a great situation, right? We have 300 kids every day, 300 plus kids every day at camp. We don't have any true bathrooms. we have porta potties, or like they're not bad. Trust me, they're not true like the true porta potties. What are they called?
It's a porta potty trailer.
Trailer. So it's not a horrible thing.
Oh, those are pretty cool. I've seen those before. The other ones at the baseball field when I go for my grandchildren, no.
So they're not bad, but this year we're making an investment and we're putting in new bathrooms. So real, true bathrooms. So those are the kinds of things that over time we're constantly doing. We just added 2 new daycare rooms. Downstairs, we moved our play space. It's not in yet, the new one, but we're going to have a new play space for all our families to enjoy. But we also expanded our daycare area because we had more than 100 kids on our waiting list. Wow. And so what we're constantly doing is trying to figure out what's happening in our community. What do we need more of? How do we support that family? We do a lot of work in DEI, diversity, inclusion, equity, because we are different, right? Isabel's from the Midwest.
You are?
I am, yes.
Oh, like
I'm from
Nebraska?
Nebraska.
Oh, no kidding. I know somebody from Nebraska.
Oh, no way.
She was West Bridgewater.
Oh, that's great.
Sorry.
And Nelson, you're from out of the country.
I'm from Ecuador.
Yeah,
You are from Ecuador.
Yes.
So you speak another language.
Espanol.
Now, yes. So, excuse me for interrupting, but so that means that anybody that comes in that speaks Spanish, you can talk to them.
Yes.
That is, to me, that's key because our world is getting smaller. That's awesome news. Buenos dias. That's the only thing I can say.
Buen día.
And I think that speaks to, you're right. I mean, we
Yes.
know as a percentage of our community that, of our world, is more Spanish speaking. We need to hire more people like that. We need to include more people in our decision making who are from other places, other communities. And that's what we see in the 5 years. We talk about a lot of times about facilities. There's some degree of facilities, some degree of environments, some degree of welcoming people. So how do you, in the next 5 years, it's really about how do we do that on a continual basis where people from anywhere feel welcome in our doors. Right. And we will expand according to what we need. So for instance, let's give an example, autism, right? We know that is, there's more, right? We know there's more families that have children with autism.
Right.
So we are doing more programming that's associated with that, right? And it's not just programming, it's really just welcoming. It's having environments that people are comfortable with. For instance, when we have an event, we might invite families with children with autism to come to the event half an hour early so that there isn't as much noise, there isn't as much confusion, and so they get comfortable in the environment first, right? Or maybe it's what Isabel's working on in terms of teen, right? We know our teens are in need of support, right? We understand that. We hear it all the time, right? Our kids, COVID did a number on them, right? So we're trying to work out Isabel's working on a teen room, and with collaborators and partners, so that we can. It's not just us. Stoughton High School's involved. There's some folks from Randolph. We serve the communities of Randolph, Avon, Stoughton, and Canton, mostly Brockton too. I mean, whoever wants to come off Route 24. But I think that our goal is to figure out a way. How do we engage them? Not make the choices for them. We were just talking about that. The teens are gonna come in and help design the room.
They'll be the focus group.
That's it.
Yeah,
So
that's what you need.
that's what our next 5 years looks like. It's as our community builds. What is it that we need?
Right, exactly. So it's interesting that you talk about autism because we have a fabulous school, in Randolph, the Higashi School. And they just had their gala, and I just looked at their video, and they just continue to do amazing things. In the beginning, when they had a way of training and helping these autistic kids, everybody was like, whoa, 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 what are you doing, what are you doing? Until they had to almost have a year or 2 or 3 years of it to say, this is what this child was when he came, this is what this child is now, which is just, I just can't say enough about the Higashi School or the Y, to say what you've done to reach out, to get the information, so you have the right information, just like you said. We're lucky we have Nelson, he speaks 2 languages, we need more people like that. I know we struggle in Randolph sometimes, I do as the executive director of the local alliance, to go to businesses that are held by people from all over the world, and they have no idea what an alliance or a chamber is. Right. And so why do you want money from me? What will you do for me, kind of thing. So it's that education all the time, so that we can do the work that we want to do more efficiently, just like you're saying, just like having Nelson and having Isabel. Well, Isabel, I have to ask you, because you're from the Midwest, this must be like almost a culture shock for you. So how did you come here? Did you go to school here?
I did, yes. I came out here for college. I went to Tufts University, and then I just stayed.
You just fell in love with New England.
I did, yeah.
How can you not?
Exactly, I know.
Being a diehard New Englander, how can you not? And you coming up to the cold country from Ecuador, holy cow.
Yeah, well, I came here when I was 10 to New York.
Oh, it's not as
So
cold as
I've been, used
been here
to,
for
I'm
a
used to
while.
the cold, but
Yeah.
Massachusetts cold is a little different than New York cold.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
He's
yeah.
a little bit of a city boy, though.
Oh, is he?
Not anymore.
No, well, now he's a Stoughtonite.
Oh,
Or Eastonite, really.
He lives
Yeah.
in Easton, but
Yeah.
but still, yeah, I think he brings. He worked for other fitness facilities when he was in New York. He brings that knowledge. He brings a lot of different things to the plate. We really do hire people that have different interests. We don't want. Our goal is not to have somebody who's just focused on that. I think Nelson has other business things he's involved in, and I think that's part of what makes us special, right?
Right.
It's understanding where everybody is, and if you're involved in other things, then you understand more and
right.
better.
Yeah. So, Nelson, where did you get your training? Did you get your training in New York?
Yeah, I went to school for sports medicine and nutrition. So I have 2 degrees, a bachelor's in sports medicine and an associate's in nutrition. My passion was always fitness. My first job was 92nd Street Y. So
Oh, really?
I did cardiac rehab there,
Wow.
and then became a boxing instructor, personal trainer, went to private, and now I'm all the way back around at the Y.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah, it
great.
must be very rewarding, especially
It
like you
is.
said about that gentleman that is the amputee.
Yes.
So I'm sending my son who had a stroke to you,
Please
so
do.
he can start using his hand.
we will make
You
that
know,
happen.
everybody has a story, don't they?
Yes.
You know, and you must hear it all and see it all, and and you keep coming back for more, which is a true testament to your leader here, because I've known Ellen for a long time, and I'm so glad she's my friend and in my wheelhouse, and just gives me information that I need for anything, not just Y things, not just chamber things, anything. So we're real lucky to have her. You're lucky to have her in your community here in Stoughton. So do you ever go back to Nebraska, Isabel?
I do. I did this fall, actually, for the first time
So
in a
your
couple
whole family's
years.
out there?
My parents are still in Nebraska, yes.
Yep. Siblings out here?
No, I have one brother, and he's in Chicago.
Oh, so you just,
So,
yeah, I
all
hear
over the
that
place.
more and more. That people come from somewhere, and then their sibling goes somewhere else, and then and I'm lucky all my kids are, maybe sometimes I'm not, all my kids are around me and my grandchildren, which is great. So if you were going to change anything at the Y, what would you change, Nelson?
I think more of us.
Okay, good.
More Ellens, more Isabels.
Yeah.
The staff is phenomenal there. Everyone comes in and they put in every minute into giving that experience to the members. I think that we're run out of time, so we could have extra time and more more of us. That would be great.
Yeah, I did bring my son in, and you weren't there, but Whitney took us on a tour. I thought maybe she was the owner. She loves the Y so much, and she wants to tell you everything. You have to go just have a tour. If you don't belong to the Y, please go to the Y and say, I just want a tour. And they just jump at the chance to show you everything and tell you what there is that's offered. And like Ellen said, there's scholarships, if you just can't afford that. Or maybe you can afford it. Maybe you want to make a donation or get on some kind of a volunteer list. I know that she would absolutely love that.
I do. I love my volunteers.
Yes,
they make the difference, right? We can't do all the work that needs to get done. Volunteers. We have volunteers running the food pantry. We have volunteers.
Talk a little bit about the food pantry.
So food pantry is
Just started though. You just started that,
it's
didn't
like
you?
a year and a half, 2 years. It was started from I don't know if anybody knew about this, but there's a Farmers to Families program that came out. I think it was a federal program, and we were lucky enough to be a recipient of the program. It was boxes that had some dairy in it, vegetables, some meat product, and it came from the federal government. And we were giving out the boxes. I think it was October 2 years ago, and so we were putting them in people's cars. Remember, that was a time when you weren't coming into the building.
Yeah,
it was just
yeah.
right. It was
Gloves, masks,
Right,
yeah.
you were putting things into the cars, and so. What happened is my board, I have a board of governors, about 17 of us, that sort of are very involved and very volunteer oriented, and they're community members, and we're always looking for more. So if there's somebody out there that wants to give back to the community, give your time, that may be something of interest too. But one of the things is they realized we would have lines of cars, literally lines of cars. It was heartbreaking. I even get choked up now,
I
sorry.
see. Yeah, it's okay.
Because it was heartbreaking, and it was from everybody from seniors to people with children in the car, and so we realized we had to do something. So we have a healthy team that sort of runs the diabetes programs, the Live Strong programs, all of the healthy living kind of programs, and they took it on and wrote some grants, and we got. We were approved by Greater Boston Food Bank. And I think that was sort of the big change. Now we get 6,000 to 10,000 pounds a month of food.
You hearing that?
It's next to my office, so I get to see, we bag. So the goal of the program, eventually, we're not there yet, is literally that people can shop, come in and shop for the things they want. Now, we're not there, but what we do is we give you a list, and you can do it by hand or you can do it online, and you choose what you want. So if we have Special K and Frosted Flakes, and I don't know what we have, or oatmeal, right? You can choose which one you want.
Right.
You're actually helping, shopping.
You're actually shopping.
And so we package these boxes, and we don't, our volunteers do, which is amazing. We package these bags, and then people come pick them up every week. And then we have other bags, so that it just have a different kinds of items in it, that if you just came in off the street and needed some food, you would have food. And we have full refrigeration, full freezers.
Yes.
I mean, these are things we've done over the time frame and really built the program.
It hasn't been that long, and you've just come a long way, baby. You know what I mean?
Grants are helpful, and people that are generous like you, Jeanette, make the difference.
Yeah, and what the other thing that you do in the lobby is they have a table, and sometimes there's food on it, sometimes there's books on it, and the little sign says, "Take it if you need it," and it's like, okay, you need that Chef Boyardee spaghetti, just take that.
But what's happening is people are bringing it in, so it doesn't necessarily go right to our food pantry, because we don't, if it's easier when it's a larger number of items for us in the food pantry. But this way, people can access things, can get things. Sometimes we have soaps out there. There's been, people are amazing, because they might go somewhere and get a deal at BJ's and
share. Sharing's caring. It's so true. It's such a cliche, but it's true.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for asking.
So, if you could change your department, what would you change? And your boss is sitting right here, right? That's okay. She likes the feedback.
I definitely agree with Nelson. I think the staff are our most important asset and resource at the Y. They're the people that interact with the members every day. But beyond that, I think just being able to do more, have more kids in our programs, to have more space, more ability to serve the population, because like we said, 2/3 of our families are on vouchers or scholarship. And if we could do more with that, if we could get more kids in, there's such a big need for kids, not only in camp programs, but also in school year programs, in our teen programs, in our leagues, in our monthly sports classes. It's so much more than just the program. It's also the enrichment, the being at the Y, the community. So being able to do more with that, to have more staff, to lead more programs is what
So do you find the kids that come to camp, and I don't know how long you've been there, but you've been there a long time, so do you see them grow and then
Absolutely.
and then turn around and say, I want to come back?
Yes.
I want to help.
Yeah.
I
We
want
have
to teach.
somebody.
I want to volunteer.
Do you know Brendan? Do you want to?
Yes, yeah. So we have a number of kids who came to camp or did programs and grew up through the Y and now are staff members. And one in particular, Brandon, he was at the Y, got a lot from the Y due to personal circumstances, was here all the time, played basketball, really was a part of the community, left and went to college, and now he started his own business around mental health for teens, and he's coming back to the Y to work with our teen program to really be that mentor to those kids.
I've got goosebumps this whole interview because you are doing such phenomenal things. Yeah, because sometimes when you go to a fundraiser for a place like the Y, they show a video, of the kids or whatever they show a video of, and I always remember seeing that the older kids are they're back, they're working there, they've done what they're going to do, or maybe they don't go to college, maybe they just want to go right to work for that, for you. So So is there a criteria, Nelson, especially you, for staff members that do personal training? Besides, you're educated, you have degrees, so somebody comes in, is there a criteria?
There's certain very specific needs that we have. Besides, you can have a doctorate in sports medicine, but what you need to have is patience. You have to be able to work with a diverse group of people. What we're trying to do here is, we're not just a fitness center where you go in and work out and leave. We're building the culture of fitness. We're building the community. So what we have is right now programming for kids. Teens are so impressionable right now. They're going to YouTube. They're going to TikToks.
Yes.
So the future is that we're going to have our own YouTube channel they can go and learn from. What we've started now is on Mondays and Wednesdays, 12 to 16-year-olds can go in at 4 p.m. for 1 hour. And we're building that culture of the next fitness people. And they're getting the basics of strength and conditioning now. This is free to members, which is a fantastic way to get them involved.
Right.
But then we also go to the other spectrum where you're in your 80s and you need to have grip strength and ankle stability, and you want to be mobile. So we're getting it at both ends. I mean, everyone is important.
Yeah.
I think when Nelson hires, so Nelson has been so successful in his hiring practices.
Oh, his name is in lights.
It is. I mean, I was
Very lucky. We're very lucky to have him on our staff.
Yeah.
But one of the things he's done is he hires people who have personalities. They're not all the same personalities, though. They're different. And so what that does is it allows us to really help with connecting with the people in our community. But they also have certain criteria. And there is, I don't know what the letters are. There's NASM. There's all kinds of these letters.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't do fitness. I oversee the branch. But Nelson knows, and they have to have it. And if they don't, if Nelson finds the right candidate, he will actually send them for training. So that one of the things we do is we do a lot of training, and we believe in that because not everybody has access to training. So we are ready to invest. If you are ready to invest with the Y and you think you want to work at the Y, we will invest in you.
That's awesome. That's awesome news. Can you believe it's almost time for us to close? I can't believe that. It was quick, not painful at all.
No.
Well, I want to thank all of you viewers who have tuned in today and listened to some information about your local YMCA and 3 leaders from the well-educated, compassionate people here that want to see the Y continue to succeed. And so please take some time to go and meet them or go have a tour I had a tour with Whitney. She was great, with my son. And maybe, maybe you're retired now and you want to do something. Maybe you could go and volunteer there, or maybe you're young and you just want to get out to be with kids and you can join the teen program or help out or volunteer. I'm sure there's all different ways you can do it. I can't thank you all enough for coming on the show today. This is our inaugural show. This is the first one that Connect 24 Business Alliance has had. We're going to try to have one at least once, hopefully twice a month, so that you can meet all the businesses in your town and go and know what's around the corner, because sometimes you can live right there and you don't even know what's around the corner because you do what you do every single day. So thank you for tuning in. And I always say keep smiling, because you know why? It's contagious. Good night.